if you want to just kind of give us a little background on yourself, I don't know, some of our audience probably knows who you are, but just in case there's somebody that doesn't.
Living under a
Yeah.
rock.
No, I've just been trading in this space since 2013. So like I've kind of I guess seen it all. Like I've seen not all, but I've seen 2 or 3 market cycles now. So I guess I'm just a spout of the wisdom of the old school back before y'all got here.
You are an OG in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I suppose. I didn't vote for that term, but
You probably hate most of us newer folks, huh?
No. Usually when the market cycle turns down, most of the people I dislike disappear.
There we go.
Generally how it works. Everybody after that, like you'll find in your next market cycle is this is how it goes for me. Is I don't make friends with the new people like immediately. You like give them like 6 months to a year to see who stays around. But yeah, I mean, most people are good. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that's still around that I dislike.
There we go. Yeah, I feel like you're right. As soon as the market starts to drop off enough, those people who are kind of the quote-unquote grifters kind of find a new industry to make their living in.
Yeah, or get stuck here and, just make it fucking miserable for everybody. But what are you going to
do? Yeah, I'm never leaving, so if you're talking about me specifically, I'll be here.
No, you're probably fine.
There we go. Okay, so I think the reason we first reached out was we had Melissa on. Her last name's Sweet, I believe. It's Melissa Sweet or Burr. Wow, Jesus Christ, I am so
really
sorry.
Far off.
Yeah, no, there's actually someone in my DMs. Different person. But yeah, Melissa Burr, she reached out and she was like, you gotta get Jeremy on. So that's when we originally reached out. Because she was talking about a bunch of degenerate shit and she was like, you blow her out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, like the bubble times were pretty fun. I'm not gonna like delve into like too much of it because it's all within statute of limitations kind of thing. Plus, like I'm trying to move my brand away from that as we get out of the forever bull market into something I haven't decided yet. Yeah, like those times were fun. We were flying around to different conventions and doing talks, and you get into a space that you have no idea about and nobody has any idea about, and you just kind of like bumble around for 4 years, and then suddenly the entire world is in the space. So you're like, you went from bumbling around for 4 years to being an expert. So it was cool to like get to fly around and like meet all those people and everything. Yeah, I don't know of any of the stories I want to go into at this moment of public.
That's fair.
So you give me a couple drinks, like whenever we meet up, and I'll go right into them. I can't control myself, but
there we go. One of us is gonna. You're in Texas right now, right?
I am.
There we go. So you and Ash.
Depending on who's asking.
Yeah, there we go. You guys can meet up. We can record another episode after that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So you're also a poker player, correct? Is that your main?
Yeah, I play some poker on the side.
Okay.
I wouldn't like. So I was playing poker when the market volume died, because like there's nothing else to do. Well, like I could do something productive, but I don't have any productive skills, so I had nothing else to do. So yeah, I went into the poker hole for a while the market turned around, and now that we're in the apocalypse and every market is just fucked and there's no volume or liquidity ever anywhere, I don't know. Well, maybe we'll go back to that.
There we go. Which do you prefer more?
Trading. No question. Yeah, poker's a lot of sitting around. Like it can be. So I enjoy poker in the like really big tournaments, which are just gambling. Like they're just basically straight gambling on any individual one. If you play 1,000 of them over time, like edges will show. But like it's just like straight fun 12 hours of gambling. Sitting down and playing like cash games of poker online, or hell, even like smaller cash games in real life, is just a boring fucking grind. Whereas the market, there's always a trade to make, and there's always something exciting going on or something blowing up. So it's a lot more active, and probably a lot more fun, a lot more like upside potential, I think.
So what you're saying is you would rather sit in your house and stare at a computer than go out and gamble with real people.
Kinda. And so the people are the best part, because they're all like, especially in Oklahoma where I was driving up, they're all like retirees. At least they all were. I assume they're going to be thinned out after what's going on. But
Oh my god.
but yeah, it's just all kinds of fun retirees like telling old bullshit poker stories from, back when they had all their teeth and stuff. It's a good time.
But I mean, I don't think anything beats crypto Twitter. I feel like there's too much fun to be had on there.
Yeah, so the thing about Twitter, crypto, and just like regular markets is it's the trading floor now, right? Like you don't have the stock exchanges and stuff. That's not where everything happens. Everything happens online. And Twitter's the trading floor, which is at least the way I've always looked at it since 2013, 14. Just like a modern trading floor. So it pays to have a voice on that. Not I don't want to say through like shilling things and pumping and dumping stuff, but the opportunities come when you have a voice on the trading floor. They just pop up.
Yeah. When you mention shilling things, I think everyone immediately thinks of a specific coin.
Probably not everyone. There's people in different eras think of different coins.
Well, when you say shilling things, I think everyone thinks of a specific coin, and that's Tezos. How has that been lately?
It's been like every market. There's a major liquidity squeeze throughout the whole globe. This question probably leads in how do I think crypto is going to do? But if I can answer it, all of it in the same one. Everything's kind of shitty right now. I'm not willing to say crypto will go lower because I know, and if you go look at all the coins that like really had a flush out, all of them have major leverage markets. So I think you just saw retail get blown out and like hell, probably even some funds get blown out there. So I don't know if there's enough like weight to push us down more. But we've also never traded during the apocalypse before. So yeah. I wouldn't take anything I say like as law. I'm just kind of guessing.
Yeah. I mean, if for best guess, because you're right, we haven't seen anything that's like kind of the apocalypse or even a down market, really. It's just been a steady rise in traditional markets. So do you have any opinions on how crypto might react to a downturn?
I would assume crypto would bottom harder and faster and then turn around. My problem with that thesis is, so let's say that like that dump that just happened was the bottom of crypto, right? Was the bottom of Bitcoin. I don't think because of the bumper system in the stock market that the bottom of stocks is in. So if we have another like 30% rout in stocks, I don't know that crypto holds up through that additional liquidity squeeze. So again, it's just uncharted territory. I've always thought that crypto would go down during a crash, and it did, because there's just all kinds of liquidity mechanics behind that. And then, really, if we're just being honest about it, like this is the crisis over the next year that Bitcoin was built for. So I don't want to put us in a this is the test we have to pass mode. But if you don't pass this test, then you have definitely failed up into it. So I think once the liquidity washout is gone, like we're going to see a really important crux point for crypto. And we'll just see how that goes. My bias is wildly towards the bullish side over time, but I may just be wrong. It's possible that like we are at the moment where we have figured out that this system just doesn't work.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us have kind of hinged our careers on crypto being successful. I know there's funds that have been started.
Not the only one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're all pretty bullish on it, but we could all just be wrong. We are a very small subset of the population, so we could just be wildly wrong.
I mean, like that could have been like the pump to 20,000
Yeah.
guys out. Like it's completely rational chart wise for it to go down to 1,000. Like it sucks. It'd be really painful. But like you can find it all over the chart. And you can but it's charting. You could also find 3,000 being the bottom pretty easily. So yeah, it's very up in the air. This is probably the first time like I've not wanted to put in a call. Like if I was like gun to my head call, like I think it'd probably be that was essentially the bottom. Like we'll probably revisit it because of like leverage mechanics. But that was probably the bottom. If that's not the bottom, then like settle in for like a decade. Just very mediocre performance from crypto, I would say.
Yeah. And we are all fucked at that point, and then even more of us are getting flushed out. If not all
getting
of us.
evicted and going out into the plague lands. And...
What's your plan? What's your plan if that happens, guys?
Like if like there's an actual collapse?
I mean, not like a complete financial collapse, but say Bitcoin continues to grind lower. There's got to be at some point a time where you're like, I gotta move on. I was wrong in what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, like my plan for that is actually just hoping for societal collapse. Because then money doesn't really matter. How many chickens and bars of gold you got?
Ash, do you have any thoughts on this? Any plans?
No, I guess I'll just view life as it is.
Listen, Bitcoin works just as well at 1,000 as it does at 6,000. Like you may not make as much money.
You
lose 70% of your money. It still works.
And I think that's the argument for a lot of the people who think that we're in this massive bubble is like, yeah, it still works at lower prices.
Yeah, that argument is extremely sound if you have a job that pays well and you have a 30-year time perspective. It does. And it's true. It's kind of like Ethereum. Like Ethereum works just as well at $50 as it does at $1,000. It just simply does.
Yeah.
And like for the distribution to get to those higher levels again, it's just going to take fucking time. And the system still works. It's just we're dealing with market mechanics behind it.
Yeah, just got to survive until we get back up there.
Basically, yeah. Basically, you've got like a month-long period here where you can go rob people and stuff. So
yeah, it's gonna get fun.
Stock up well, and just ride out whatever winter we've got coming.
Yeah. So much hope. So I guess, do you have any like depressing stories in your long tenure that you've been here?
Oh man, you should have been in the space when all of crypto Twitter, this was 2015, volume had died, Bitcoin was down to like $300, and basically everybody was just in little groups trying to scam each other with altcoins. Just the whole space was dead. And we all got on OKCoin because like Mex wasn't around at the time. I think Finex was there. They only had X3, and OKCoin had 20 at like $250. Wouldn't recommend. Like it's a pretty low level like move to liquidation, but so like we probably lost. I would say like imagine 60% of the people in crypto right now. So we've already been through this market cycle. We're on the end of the cycle. We're going to a new one at some point here. Imagine 60% of the people we have now losing all of their money at this part of the market cycle. That's what happened. You would just have like people disappearing, and we would have like rituals for when people said that they blew up their accounts and started begging for money. And we did like we'd have songs we played for them, and it was a fun time. It's a whistling through the graveyard kind of situation.
Were you ever at that point in 2015 where you're like, I'm done, like this could be the end for me? Like you liquidated
like 18 fucking times. I stopped. It's better to ask when I stopped being at that point, and that was around mid 2016.
There we go. That's when you're like, there's some light at the end of this tunnel. I'm gonna make it.
That was when I made money to pull out some money and not have to like Coinbase my rent every month. And then just like started building out. That's when I learned to risk manage and things like that. And like actually became like an actual trader, not like I was 23 and signed on to Cripsy and like just bought random coins kind of thing. Yeah. So it's an education process, and like you really have to teach yourself.
Yeah. So you're talking about a couple other people who, you just continue to watch people's accounts get blown and leave the industry. Anything for yourself? Are there any like vivid stories that like you remember that are jumping out at you? From yourself.
Like I built my accounts back then. Like I actually quit for like a year before I came back. After that, not particularly. Like I mean, I've got like all the little shit that everybody else did, like I did the selling up at the top or buying up at the bottom. But the past like 4 or 5 years have been good. Before that, like I was literally just locked in a room for 3 years trading. That was my 13 through 16. So I just didn't leave the apartment. It's kind of like now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just like now.
I've been practicing for it.
Right, you're more prepared than most of us, but I think everyone who works in the industry is more prepared than the rest of the world because we're used to. Oh
yeah, God, could you imagine if they're used to going and working at like an office building or something every day, just doing like menial stuff and just not going anymore?
And then you have to
feel like very lost.
Yeah, right. You got to spend 24 hours with the family that you're probably not too stoked to hang out with.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a really, really interesting time because like that's just the surface stuff. There's so many systemic issues that are happening right now. Like, you know, hopefully the police department will work when everything's back up and running. It's a scary time.
Very, very. So you're more experienced with, you know, working from home, trading from home. Do you have any tips for the newer guys who are kind of still a little bit new to this?
Yes. Oh, definitely. I'm not following. You really got to start a routine. That's really important. And like my routine's fallen apart because part of it was like going to the gym, and now I'm doing the thing everybody else is and trying to see how fat I can get my body fat percentage up before the end, before I decide I'm not going to be that person anymore. You really have to have a routine, and that's really all there is to it. Just, you know, make sure you're getting out whatever you need to do. But you can always add things to a routine once you have a routine. But if you're just floating in the wind, you're just going to be staying up till 2 a.m. and not getting anything done, which is probably what you're going to do anyway. Just be honest with you.
I was going to say that sounds like what I'm doing right now, and I had a plan. I had a routine.
Yeah, I think the stages are like you have a plan, and then like the plan starts to fall apart, and because you had a plan, it starts getting like catastrophic. You know, you're just like baking. I don't know if you're at the bakery part yet, but like I'm a full-fledged fucking baker.
You got your sourdough starter, everything ready to go.
Oh yeah. We started that phase right after the gym's closed.
Oh man,
kind of turned upside down.
God.
But at some point we'll run out of flour, and then we'll get back into the good working out stuff.
Have you left?
So you've got to come out of that curve, you know.
Yeah. Have you left your apartment yet?
Yeah. I leave a good deal. I go to the grocery stores and stuff just because I'm still taking everything in. I've talked about this before, but like this is like a major event in human history. And it's akin to major disasters you see in other countries, but you don't see here. So I found it interesting to go explore people's reaction to it. It's kind of like taking it because I've got nothing but fucking time. Like, just far too much time.
Yeah, it's we've all got way too much time on our hands, and I think it's starting to get weird. It's been like a good month now, I'd say, probably like 3 weeks since people were like, oh shit, this is serious, like let's lock it down. And I think things are starting to get weird. Yeah,
and we've got, you know, positive side like a month of this left, and like realistic side like 5.
Yeah, I hope not, but realistically you're probably right.
Yeah, see, it's weird for us to all talk about because we've all been working from home, and like, you know, we aren't really seeing these crazy effects. There's a lot of people on crypto Twitter who still have real jobs, and yeah,
that's true. There's like I've got a lot of people talking to me from like the medical profession and stuff, and or just, you know, regular job, normie jobs, waiters and things like that, and it's getting a little thin out there. We're going into thin times.
Yeah, we just recorded an episode right before this, and we had like 10 minutes in between, and I have a really good friend staying with me right now, and he's a chiropractor, and I like walked out of the office and I was like, hey, what's up? He's like, oh, just filing unemployment. I was like, damn it. But yeah, he can't, I mean, his office is completely shut down. He can't work, you know, so
yeah.
Been really interesting. He's been staying here. This is his 3rd week. So.
Wow. Lucky him. Gets to just crash on a couch, not pay rent.
Yeah.
Support it. So Jeremy, you said you had some friends in the medical field that you've been talking to. You probably know more than I'd say either of us, and like what's going on. Have you gotten into the details about numbers, how serious this virus is?
No, not particularly. And I don't think it matters. I really don't think it matters. I think it'll matter looking back, but I don't think it matters right now because like we will get over the hospital capacity. And once you do that, it doesn't particularly matter if it's 10,000 people over or 15,000 people over or what the numbers are, because then you just like, then they're just not getting treated. They're just dying at home. So, and that politically, I'm much more interested in the geopolitical aspect of this and the politics aspect, and how you keep society together after this.
Yeah, right.
And one of the things you have to do is not have images of people dying in the street. That's just not good for country morale.
Yeah.
Bad country PR.
I think we're essentially almost certainly going to get there, at least in some cities. So yeah, I don't know that the initial numbers matter right now. It's just all about like construction and not concealing the sickness, but like we want to come out of this looking like a first world country.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the goal. That's the goal. It's not about lives. It's about looking like a first world country. If we're just going to be rude, honest about it. And you really need to do that to like keep up your national image and keep up your national morale and all these things. And I think that we just have to prep for that point breaking. And maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. We're doing really exceptional work. It's happening very fast now.
I was going to ask how you think we're handling the situation here in the U.S.
So I would say I think you need to separate. It's a complicated question, right? Because I've been openly critical of the administration since the start. But in an emergency situation, especially one that moves this fast, where you're dealing with exponential numbers and things are going to hit you real quick out of nothing, you really have to move on from the past mistakes that were made and look at the choices being made now. And I don't even know if you can properly judge them when you're in the fog of war. This is more of a looking back on it question.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that there was a major failure within the administration early on. But the caveat to that is like everywhere kind of fucked up. So I don't know if you can actually not fuck this up. I don't know if you can put the restrictions in place you need to put in place when you do, because you don't have the political will. So I don't even know how much of that will count against them. I think now, I don't know. I don't even know what I want them to do. I have no idea.
Yeah. It's a fine line because if they just start shutting everything down and saying, you can't do this, we're locking people in your doors like some other countries have done, then we kind of stop being seen as this land of the free. People start,
Yeah, and it's not even just that. It's the rest of the world is not the West's bulwark against China. We are. So it's much more imperative for our economy to launch, like as China's is getting up. So like that's something that really has to be considered. Is like the U.S. economy and the U.S. being up and running is like actually quite important for the Western world against China in the East. So it's almost impossible, and it will be almost impossible going forward to look at the things being done and to know if they were enough or they were too much, or what we should have done, just because it's such a complex situation. And we're not sitting in like some country that doesn't matter. Like you actually do need a bulwark against the East, just an economic one. And like the U.S. is one of the reasons why we're being the world's central bank, because we have to keep the liquidity up, because like you can't have China take over everything.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. I am fearful of systemic collapse, and I think that like if I had to put numbers on it, like there's probably like a 15% chance of just full systemic collapse, and that's very high.
Are you prepared for that?
I don't think you can be prepared for that. I think I'm probably a week ahead of everybody, like mental prep wise, like mental. Like I don't want to say like I'm like working in the future kind of thing, but I've already kind of like acclimated into this world we're in, because I've been living in it for a couple extra weeks. But like if there's actual collapse, like what do? You like you hop in the car and drive out into the country. I've got family out in the country, so like I'd probably be fine.
There we go.
But like you kind of just have to hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
It's like I saw Ackman talking on CNBC about buying Hilton stock, where it's like, well, it's either going to go down to zero or the government's going to step in, and if the government doesn't step in, I'm fucked anyway. So
Yeah.
might as well buy some.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, people talk about like the preppers, they got their food, they got their guns, they got some precious metals to maybe start transacting in fucking silver and gold, which is insane in my opinion. Yeah,
happen.
like that will never happen. I don't want to say never.
The gold thing's been put in perspective for me here. I get the gold thing. If you have a ranch, you are out in the country, and you have a place to put just like bars of gold, so like years after the collapse, when society is rebuilt, if you haven't been taken over on your property, you have some of that well stored. I understand it. I get it. Sure, why not? I guess that's fine. But I don't have a ranch house.
Yeah.
So
your gold's not going to do well sitting in your safe when your house gets ransacked and.
Yeah. I'm much more worried about the bullets phase of the economy than the gold phase of the economy.
There we go.
Because you have to get through the bullets phase.
Yeah.
Get to the gold phase.
So guns and ammo are your first concern.
Yeah. No, definitely.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people who are very against guns, and I think that when push comes to shove, they're going to be the first people to really realize.
Get shot?
Yeah. When shot, 1, 2, realize that like, holy fuck, I made a huge mistake here.
Oh yeah. I made this comment before. Like, you're never getting rid of the Second Amendment now. Like, no. the gun rights thing is just like, it's decided, it's done.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have that 30, 40, even 45% of people who want that kind of thing. But now you have an entrenched group of people who will like never let it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they've suspended low-level.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
No, I just said particularly in this state that we're in.
Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
But I also think like you'll probably get less rioting here because of that.
Yeah.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah.
Charles is kind of screwed.
Yeah, I'm out in California, so.
You're just fucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely fucked.
Just I would like go get some like very poor people clothes. It's like dirty and
You're acting like I don't have that. Like I've been full-time crypto for months now, and I've been in the industry since 16. I am way past that. I got the poor people clothes.
Good.
I'm ready.
That was something I was missing out on my kit.
Just baggy clothes full of holes. Okay, so that got into like the whole collapse of the world. Let's say that doesn't happen. Let's just pretend like it's not going to happen. How do you suggest people take advantage of the market situation? How have you been trying to take advantage of it?
Well, let's go with other people first, because I think there are initial axioms that need to be considered. I would say that it really depends on your liquidity situation. Are you in a place where you've got 10 grand and you're trading for rent, or are you in a place where you've got a couple $100,000 or $100,000 and you've got bills paid for and you're looking for opportunities on a longer time scale? If you're on a short right now, I would just sit in cash. I would just sit in cash and short things. I wouldn't really take any risk because you just don't know how long this is going to go. Really, you're in a place where retail needs to conserve liquidity because the market will come back at some point, and if you don't have any money when it comes back, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If you're in a higher liquidity spot, I mean, so yeah, if you've got a lot of money sitting around, like you're good for the year. You could probably start looking at like 4 or 5 year plays. I would say start looking through things and picking levels you want to buy them at, and then just start dollar cost averaging in there. Like I said, like we're just in such a hard place to pick the market. I want to be like full bore, like crypto bottom is in because of how like how margin works in it and all that. But I'm honestly just scared to go on the record saying that.
Yeah.
But I would just be in a conserved capital position. That's where we're at. It sucks. That's where we're at. Nobody wants to fucking be here. It's awful.
Yeah.
I want to go back to like bull market cocaine parties, but now we're not there anymore.
I can't wait until we get back there.
We've got to wait until a two-track administration is another Republican one to give us like the super tax cut pumps.
Right. So what do you think about the people who are full-blown Bitcoin maximalists? I spend every dollar I make going and just putting it into Bitcoin. What do you think about those people?
I think so. This gets into like a philosophical exercise where I actually think they're right in a way, because I don't think Bitcoin is going away. I think like almost every alt will go away, but Bitcoin can't, because Bitcoin has the story, and the story is like extremely important to a monetary system. Like it has the myth. So like your founding myth or your currency myth in a nationalist system is the founding myth. So like the George Washington myth, blah, 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 blah. All of that, like national cohesion. You need to have some kind of mythology around a currency for it to be a currency so people can bind to it. And that's what like what the Satoshi story is. So I think that while they're probably wrong in that it will be the only blockchain, because it just doesn't make much sense, they're probably right in it is the safest place to put money in the space right now. Because it could be it could. I think there are a couple of coins right now that will end up being preeminent blockchains in the future. But there's only one I'm certain of, and that's Bitcoin. So I think that they have their mind is in the wrong place, but they're making the right play.
There we go. I was gonna say they're all in on the right coin in an industry that is very uncertain at the moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I feel like when you said, hold on to some cash, especially if you're, in a little bit of a liquidity crunch or you don't have too much money to play with. And I feel like these people are going to get hurt if we do see further decline.
Oh yeah. The squeeze, there's probably a lot of just everything. Every market right now, there's a lot of people sitting there that don't have adequate personal liquidity. They're still looking to exit, I would assume. So you got the margin flush out, right? But like you didn't get the flush out of like the guys that only have like 15 grand and now they have 7 grand and they don't know what they're going to do. You may not have pushed those people out yet. It's possible.
No, the thing is, I think so many people in the industry now are just like so used to just continued decline that they're like, I'm holding it to zero at this point. They've been through hell.
Yeah, people say that.
I was going to say, I could be wrong. I wasn't here.
1,000 and you're like, oh, it's actually going to zero. I'm not going to zero. Are you insane?
So I've talked about that on Twitter a couple times. I'm like, we all say that we'll be here to zero, but what happens when we get to 1,000? What happens when we get to 500? That's when you really start to freak out, I would say.
Yeah. You can't know what kind of emotional state you're going to be in tomorrow. Especially not in markets. It's nobody who says at 10,000 they're going to hold to zero holds to zero. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
It simply is not a thing.
We're getting close. We hit 3K, high 3Ks. People are still here.
Man, it really felt like that was going to zero. That was there was so much weight behind that drop down. It was really nuts to watch.
Yeah,
it was hard to watch.
You've been here for a while. I haven't done a ton of research. Have there been any days that were that bad, a 50 plus decline in a single day?
Yeah, I think we've had a couple, but I believe all of the ones that I am thinking of were off of like large rises. So I think there have been like a couple worse days, but like that one wasn't an up and then down. It was just like a sideways, and then the whole world fell apart.
Yeah.
It was different. It was definitely different.
So that was new to you. That was a new experience.
You could really feel like the weight of the entire interconnectedness of the world in that day of market dumping, or that couple of days. Because like you could just like, you could almost feel that like, okay, gold is dumping because people are getting margin called on this, and people need liquidity from Bitcoin, and just all the liquidity and everything dried up. It's just something I'd never seen before.
Yeah. Making history books.
Yeah. We are in very, very uncharted times. at least we don't have to go out with a rifle though. At least
Right.
it's just sitting at home
It's
Yeah.
nice.
for now.
Yeah, for now, exactly. Yeah. Wait until the looting starts.
Whew.
You're ready. You sound ready.
I'm not. So again, this is one of the. I wish this was not happening, but it is happening, and I can't stop it. So if there is looting, I will be out watching the looting. When people are raiding stores, I will be there watching.
You won't be
Because I wanna
participating.
experience it. Not participating. I don't
Okay.
need to loot unless something's good. Curve screeners. But no, I just want to take the experience because I don't live in a place and will most likely never live in a place unless things go really south here, where like raids and things like that are going to happen this time will happen again. So I'm excited. It sucks that we're here, but got to make the best of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ash,
As
you're
far
just so tucked away. You're not even going to notice if there's raids.
Yeah, no, I don't
I'm
think
in the
we'll really.
middle of the city.
Yeah, I don't think we'll really run into it as much here as you will, Jeremy. But I'm not too worried about it where I'm at. Scary to think about like everybody else. So I guess you never know, though. It could happen.
Yeah, I mean, like if it gets bad enough, it's not like y'all's supply lines are any different than the ones that run into the city.
Yeah, definitely. But so I guess we have like 2.5 minutes. Is there anything else you want to tell people? Or usually we try to end things on a high note, but considering the state of the world, I don't really know if that's
There are no high notes to end with.
if you want to try.
There are some high notes with like this. There's going to be blood in the streets just by then. Like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Because you have literal blood in the streets this time. It's not. It's not going to be hard to buy. Really not. Just make sure you have liquidity to eat and buy things later. Just be careful out there.
Well, that's the issue. Is like a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and we. Oh my God. Yeah, those people are really gonna struggle. They won't have that opportunity, and I think even people that we talk to on Twitter on a pretty regular basis aren't gonna have that opportunity because they just won't have the cash for it.
Yeah, tons, just tons. I don't know. I mean, like I'd like to be more positive on things. We didn't get really dark like we could have.
Yeah. We're trying to keep people's spirits alive. We've kind of turned a new leaf in this show and gone with the more let's keep people alive versus really hitting with the hard stuff.
At least someone is. I've got the hard stuff down. It's all good. I'll take over the positivity.
There we go. All right. Well, yeah, we got 1 more minute. Anything else before we go?
No, I think I'm good. It was a good time. I'll come back on whenever y'all wanna have one.
Yeah.
We can talk about. I don't know. Nothing's gonna change.
Yeah.
It's not like anything's gonna fucking change.
We're gonna get you drunk next time so that you can tell us.
Yeah. We'll do it later in the day and have a couple drinks. That sounds like a good idea.
All right. Love it, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Adios.
Bye.